Welcome back, focused learners. Today's explainer is all about becoming tactical detectives so we can absolutely decode the UCAT verbal reasoning section. Look, if you're prepping for med or dental school, you already know this aptitude test is a massive hurdle. So today we're going to break down exactly how to conquer one of its absolute toughest components, fact versus opinion questions. And we are going to start with a super stressful number that probably haunts your dreams, 30. You have an average of just 30 seconds to answer each question in this section. That's it. 30 seconds to read, comprehend, analyze, and actually select the right answer. But wait, it gets better. You have to do this for a staggering 44 questions in total. You're going to be staring down 11 different reading passages, each one packing about 200 to 300 words, and every single one is followed by 4 questions. And all of this is packed into a tiny, heart-racing 21 minutes. This makes it, without a doubt, the most time-pressured section of the entire exam. Students consistently score the lowest in this very first subtest. And honestly, it's not because the reading is impossible. It's because that brutal time constraint is literally designed to test your ability to handle severe stress. So, here's our tactical syllabus for today so we can outsmart this thing. We're covering 1. The verbal reasoning challenge. 2. Spotting facts versus opinions. 3. The 3 UCAT distractor traps. 4. Channeling your inner robot. And 5. Strategies for the clock. All right, let's dive right into Section 1, the verbal reasoning challenge. We really just need to acknowledge the harsh reality of this challenge. I mean, it's the very first section of an epic 2-hour exam, and boom, you are immediately hit with a giant wall of text. And that brings us to a crucial realization. Time is the enemy here, and we need to treat it like a limited resource. The test designers are brilliantly and kind of ruthlessly using time anxiety to trick you into making cognitive shortcuts. They know that when you're rushing, you're way more likely to make assumptions, misread a critical word, or, worst of all, rely on your outside knowledge instead of what's actually printed in the passage. Time is your primary adversary. Okay, Section 2, spotting facts versus opinions. Let's move to our first major defense mechanism against this adversary, which is cleanly dividing facts from opinions. The crucial point here is contrasting verifiable objective facts against subjective opinions, which, by the way, are often sneakily masked by professional or technical language. A fact can be proven with hard evidence, right? Things like numbers, dates, or study results. An opinion, on the flip side, involves personal views, interpretations, or judgments, and here is the trap. Experts can state opinions too. Think about it. A zoologist predicting an animal will go extinct in 50 years is stating an informed opinion. But because a prediction about the future cannot be verified right now, it is absolutely not a fact. Let's look at a really clear comparison to show the difference between a measurable fact and an opinion hiding behind a positive word. Saying that drug reduced symptoms in 80% of users gives us verifiable, quantifiable data from a study. But claiming a treatment is excellent takes that exact same data and applies a subjective judgment to it. I mean, what exactly defines excellent? It's completely subjective. So you've got to watch out for these sneaky value and judgment words that instantly turn a seemingly objective sentence into an opinion. Words like best, significant, should, must, or even very. For example, saying someone is very tall is an opinion. Very is undefined. It means completely different things to different people. If you see these words on test day, alarm bells should immediately ring in your head. Moving right along to Section 3, the 3 UCAT distractor traps. Now that we know the basics, let's unveil the specific architectural traps the test makers use to create optical illusions. The creators of the UCAT deliberately engineer 3 main distractors to exploit your time anxiety: dispersion, contradiction, and extreme language. Recognizing these 3 traps before you even sit down for the exam is for sure one of the highest yield prep investments you can make. First up is the dispersion trap, which is super sneaky. This is when the tester uses real, actual information from the passage, but adorably misplaces it onto the completely wrong subject, location, or time period. Because you're skim reading, your brain sees a keyword and goes, I remember reading that. But the trap is that they took a fact that applied to, say, adults in the text and attached it to children in the answer option. You have to verify the exact relationship, not just that a keyword is present. Next is the contradiction trap. This happens when the UCAT takes a perfectly qualified statement and ruthlessly removes its context to make it false. Academic writing uses qualifiers all the time, words like may, suggests, or under certain conditions. So if the passage says a treatment may help some patients, and the answer option confidently states the treatment helps patients, it's completely removed the qualifier and created a false contradiction. Finally, we have the extreme language trap. Honestly, these are the easiest to spot because academic texts almost never support absolute claims like always or never. Answer options containing words like all, none, every, or impossible are almost never correct in UCAT verbal reasoning. Spotting these takes literally 2 seconds and allows you to eliminate distractors instantly. Notice how placing a moderated claim next to an absolute one instantly exposes that totalizing language trap. Saying many students have trouble with the UCAT allows for exceptions. Conversely, no one likes the UCAT is an absolute extreme that is practically impossible to prove from a standard text. Which brings us perfectly to Section 4, Channel Your Inner Robot. To defend against all these traps, we are going to learn a cute but highly logical new mindset for test day. Your golden rule for this entire section is to completely power down your human assumptions and totally discard outside facts. If a passage is talking about the history of Vikings and an answer option randomly says the Earth revolves around the sun, you must mark it as can't tell. Why? Because even though you know for a fact it's true in the real world, it was not stated in the passage. By channeling your inner robot, you become a literal data processing machine that won't fall for emotional or logical traps. A robot doesn't assume. A robot doesn't use outside knowledge. A robot just looks at the text provided, searches for the exact parameters, and computes whether the statement follows logically. And lastly, Section 5, Strategies for the Clock. You will invariably run low on time. It's just a fact of the test. So how do we maximize your score when that countdown is blinking red? When the timer is flashing, you need to follow these rapid-fire triage steps to keep moving and secure the easiest points. First, scan for those extreme absolute words we talked about to eliminate obvious traps. Then, make an educated guess between the remaining options. A 50-50 coin toss is way better than leaving it blank. Flag the question using the on-screen tool and move on instantly. Do not obsess over it. Time is money. What's really interesting about this strategy is that true/false/can't-tell questions are actually the quickest ones to answer, so never skip them for harder passages. If you are running out of time, you absolutely want to be spending those final precious seconds on the easiest question formats, not drowning in some complex, multi-layered argument. Conversely, please don't be a martyr on gray area authors' opinion questions, because they are massive time stealers. These questions often ask you to choose the most correct answer among several options that all seem kinda true. They take serious cognitive power and eat up precious time. If you hit one of these and you're struggling, flag it, guess, and run. Look, the verbal reasoning section is notoriously tough, but it relies on predictable patterns. By identifying facts from opinions, scanning for absolutes, and leaving your outside knowledge at the door, you transform a deeply stressful reading test into a cold, logical data processing game. So, on test day, with your trap spotting skills honed and your inner robot fully activated, are you going to panic like a human or are you going to execute like a machine?